morning, kids. Let's understand under the heading life processes, the transportation, and that too we are going to deal with transportation in human beings. And in this category, we started this topic initially understanding about the components of blood. And in these components, the first one we had covered the other day was about RBCs. RBCs, the smallest cells in human body, and their lifeline is about 120 days. They are red in color due to the presence of hemoglobin pigment, and they are around 4 to 5 million per cc of blood. Right, so many small red dots are there in such a less amount of the blood that definitely means that the blood is going to appear red. And next, second one, WBC or white blood cells. And in some of the categories, we may see them as white blood corpuscles. Both the meaning is same only. And WBCs will be bigger in size as compared to that of RBCs. RBCs are very, very small. WBCs are bigger in size, and they are, you can say, amoeboid in their function, means that they can change their shape, squeezing their membranes. That is the reason that wherever there is this injury or infection, WBC can reach there. It can squeeze its shape just like that of a rat or mice, and from the small hole or the small hole in the blood capillary, for example, if this is the blood capillary in which blood is flowing, and this is the WBC we are talking about, and if there is this injury or infection here, and this needs the support of the system for curing, then in that case what happens that the WBCs basically they will emerge out. They will emerge out from here, from the small wherein the cells have joined. There is a small gap between the two cells, and they are going to squeeze out of this and reach the area where it is needed to take care of the infection and fight back the microorganisms present there. This change in shape, instead of being larger in size, it can move out of the blood capillaries. RBCs cannot. RBCs will have to flow in the closed circulatory system. What is this closed circulatory system? You can imagine that our body is having a continuous supply of blood and nerves. So there are two types of pipelines in the body. One pipeline which supplies the sensation, we call them as nerves. Pain is prick, temperature is hot, we can feel, we react. That is the role played by those pipelines right from top of the body till the bottom. And there we have the sensation because of the presence of nerves. The second type of pipeline will be empty and hollow, and that is going to carry the blood. Major pipelines, the thicker pipelines are known as arteries and veins. Arteries in general are going to carry oxygenated or pure blood, the blood that contains more amount of oxygen in it. Veins contain deoxygenated or impure blood. As long as we were in the junior classes, we were discussing it as pure and impure blood. But yeah, of course, now we know as a 10th standard child that it is deoxygenated blood. Differences between both of them I'm going to give you just after this. But make sure of one thing. Wherever the blood goes inside the system, it has to flow either in the bigger pipeline artery or in the bigger pipeline vein. But where these arteries, where the supply of actual transported material is needed, those places we call as tissues. I'm going to draw this diagram also to make you understand how this happens. So if this is artery and this is vein, they join, forming capillaries. We can compare the diameter of the hand and the diameter of the fingers, that is smaller. So that means arteries are bigger pipelines, veins are bigger pipelines. They have to split into smaller ones. Basically, arteries split into arterioles, veins split into venules, and they join into still thinner pipelines, the thinmost pipeline possible, and we call it as capillary. But this capillary network will always be there near the tissues, where exchange of material is needed. See, we say that our body needs oxygen, our body needs different supply of food materials, digested food, and after utilizing that food and oxygen, the waste that is removed from them, it needs to be carried away. So who plays this role? The role is played by capillaries. Closed circulatory system, meaning this pipeline all over the body will not be ruptured anywhere, will never be open to any tissue. Blood flows in bigger pipelines, then in smaller pipelines, then in the smallest pipelines. But nowhere it is going to keep itself open to supply to any particular cell or tissue. How do we understand that? Taking the example from day-to-day life, like water pipelines are there. Here next to NTC colony, we can see that there is this very, very big pipeline just behind this Charbuja Hills. Very big pipeline it is. Is the diameter of the pipeline that is reaching our home same as that of that pipeline? No. That pipeline is much more bigger. And that is actually bringing water and supplying it in the reservoir. And from there, again still smaller pipelines emerge out. And the one that supplies to our home will be very thin in diameter. Because if that big pipeline supplies, the supply of water will not be proper at all the homes. The fundamental remains same in human body also. The bigger pipelines cannot go for exchange of materials. Here the reason is a bit different. If the bigger pipelines will also be sent for supplying material to the tissues, the thick wall of arteries will not allow the substances to move out or penetrate out. Wherein, if they are converted to capillary level, capillaries basically are made up of only single cell thickness. Now, how do we understand that? For example, if I am supposed to make a wall, the wall will be made minimum 1 brick thickness. You have to raise a wall, that means minimum you are supposed to put 1 brick, over that another brick, then another brick. That minimum 1 brick. Same way, capillaries are made up of only single cell thickness. If the tissue has to be supplied, with some material. It has been brought with the help of arteries and it will be leaving with the help of veins. They have much more thicker walls. Their walls are very thick. Right? Now it has been converted down to capillary. Now what are these capillaries? Capillaries will be only single cell thickness. This is single cell thickness. Now why it should be so? We can compare this structure with that of alveoli we have covered in respiratory system or villi in digestive system. exchange surface areas I gave you, please try to correlate. These three exchange surface areas, the villi in the small intestine, alveoli in the lungs, and capillaries in the blood system, they are made up of single cell thickness. So that exchange should be maximum. If the wall is very thin, if it is a single sheet of wood, for example, separating two compartments in an office, you can communicate. Across the wall, you can communicate. You speak something, the other person hears and listens. But if the wall is very thick, made up of concrete, you cannot convey your message to the other side of the wall. Either of the example you keep in mind, beta, please remember that we need minimum one cell thickness. But instead of that also, here if we have these RBCs that are smallest, and we will have WBCs, platelets. Out of all these, only WBCs can squeeze between the gaps and reach to the tissue wherever its requirement is there to kill the germs. Basically, for immunity, this WBCs will do that. They can squeeze out. Except for these, none other of them. Now I gave you the example of pipelines. Coming down to that again. You know very well that in colony or anywhere, if there is a crack in the pipeline, the water supply has to immediately come down and correct that mistake. Otherwise, water will keep oozing out of it, collecting in the neighboring area. Same happens in case of our blood vascular system also. Human beings have closed circulatory system. I am repeating this term again and again. This closed circulatory system we are having, yes, that's a characteristic feature of a higher animal. What about, are there any animals who will be having open circulatory system also? Yeah, the lower ones, the insects may have that. Wherein the blood flowing inside their pipelines, their arteries and veins come in contact with that tissue. But in case of humans, if it happens, or in vertebrates, all in all we say, in a closed circulatory system, if the blood comes out, that means red blood cells and all that material, if it comes out from one end, we call it as hemorrhage. Now what is this hemorrhage and how we recognize it? Very simple example. If someone is hurt at some time, कोई चोट लगी है, and that area becomes blue, we call it as नील पड़ गया. जख्म से फट के ब्लड बाहर नहीं आया, लेकिन नील पड़ गया. That is hemorrhage. Now that will keep on paining till it goes out. And how after some days it is completely vanished? Because the moment it ruptures, for example, it ruptures at one point, some part. Now why will it rupture? There is tremendous amount of pressure. कोई चोट लगी, बहुत जोर से कोई चीज गिरी आपके ऊपर. And that pressure has actually made this blood capillary near to the tissue burst. And with that bursting, some amount of blood came off. The moment the blood started coming out, some part of it got collected near to the tissue, but immediately comes the role of the third component of the blood, that is platelets. They immediately come and they start clogging, breaking the flow and clogging or completely cementing the opening, you can say. Repairing the pipeline, not allowing the blood to move out further. What we call as blood clotting. This is how the blood circulatory system functions. Closed circulatory system. Blood being flowing only inside the system, not at all moving out. And if you just happen to go to any of the pathology lab, there are blood samples which are kept there. After some time, a pale yellow liquid will be floating and only the small sediment will be there at the bottom of it. That small sediment basically is comprising of RBCs, WBCs and platelets. These WBCs, of course, as the word indicates, is it is a larger, and of course the function is to give immunity. Like here, a function in this case will be to transport oxygen. And RBCs, mature RBCs will not have any cell organelles in it. Just like any rod, it will keep on moving from 120 days, attaching oxygen with it, forming oxyhemoglobin. Forming oxyhemoglobin. This compound it forms near to the lungs, and then it goes to different tissues. It detaches oxygen there, supplying oxygen there, again becoming hemoglobin. Here, WBC's function is, of course, to fight against infection. To fight against infection. And they are larger in size. RBCs are the smallest. Platelets, the function is blood clotting. And all of them, they are bathing in a liquid. We call it as plasma. The function of plasma we have covered in the previous lecture also. But once again, there is no harm revising it. Plasma is that liquid which contains 90% water. Whole of the blood volume, if you see, maximum of it is plasma. And of plasma also, if you separate the pale yellow liquid also, if you separate, that contains maximum amount of water only. Now why water and water primary again we are saying? Because water is the universal solvent. What is the meaning? It dissolves the maximum amount of solids, liquids and gases in it as compared to any damn liquid of this earth. This clearly indicates that water, the main component, can transport all good things and bad things in dissolved state in it. We say transportation, and transportation heading we are discussing about blood, and in blood we are discussing about plasma. That means transportation in human body in dissolved state is basically the function of plasma. See, RBCs are only transporting oxygen. What about the other things? Food is digested somewhere in the lower abdomen, and from there it has to be transported and stored all over the body. Dissolved state. Glucose, amino acids, all these things they will dissolve and then it will be supplied to all over the body. Waste generated, nitrogenous waste generated. Nitrogenous waste, for example, in our case it is urea. When the cells function, they take up these substances. Glucose for energy they'll be taking up amino acids for synthesizing different materials in the body. See, amino acids basically will be synthesized, will be used for synthesizing proteins. What is protein? Structure. Any structure you and me we have in our body, for example, the cheek, the hand, the muscles, everything. That's made up of proteins. So once these cells and tissues they work, they make things for themselves and for other parts of the body. They definitely will generate waste also. That waste is urea. That is also transported in plasma in the dissolved form. Once a cell is working, it needs oxygen. It is taking up oxygen and it is releasing out CO2. Where this CO2 goes? Carbon dioxide will be transported all over the body in the dissolved state in plasma. So it basically transport substances and dissolved state. Now those substances may be, those substances of course will include all the digested food. Digested food means glucose, amino acid, and of course fatty acids will be there. Waste products, urea, carbon dioxide in the dissolved form in the form of bicarbonates. For example, CO2 in the form of bicarbonates, and urea and glucose. All those substances they will be traveling in the blood, moving from one place to the other in dissolved state in plasma. We have just now covered about various components of the blood. The notes regarding this I will be posting so that you may note down from there. In the explanation, if anybody has any doubt, can ask me right now. Then I'll be proceeding ahead, telling you about the next step. The next step is to understand about the pipelines. Basically, the circulatory system will be comprising of, beyond blood, it will be comprising of two things. Blood vessels. Blood vessels, the names of them we have covered: arteries, veins and capillaries. And the pumping organ, heart. I will be explaining you that also a little bit about it as far as we can prove it in today's lecture. But before starting that, again I am asking my kids, if there is any doubt about the explanation that I had just done, you can ask me right now. Fine then. And one more thing, if you feel that you cannot write as per this, the matter written on the board, please take a screenshot. Let's understand. First thing, of course, we have understood about the blood. Now we are going to understand about the various pipelines. The pipelines, of course, are the larger ones: arteries, veins, and in middle of them lies the capillaries. And of course, we have just now covered about one thing, that is, our system is closed circulatory system where blood never comes in contact, direct contact with any tissue. Be it any emergency situation, be the supply needed to be like 100 to the power of infinity. No, it can never reach the cell or the tissue directly. It will always has to flow in the closed channels only. Now blood vessels are arteries and of course veins.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, can a person die due to hemorrhage?
Can
Can a person die due to hemorrhage?
you type out your query? I cannot hear you because your voice is echoing here, kid. I am waiting for that. Child, type out your doubt, and by the time, let's understand arteries and veins. Can a person die due to hemorrhage? Yeah. Let's discuss for 1 minute about this, and then of course I'm going to deal with these. See, hemorrhage, you at younger age right now, me elderly to you. Every step, every time in our body, somewhere or the other, the hemorrhage will be going on without our knowledge. See, this is a vast system, a complex system. So somewhere some mistakes are bound to happen. In an adult, there will be hemorrhage at many places in the body, but that doesn't mean that person will die. But yes, hemorrhage kills. And yes, of course, they say that XYZ got brain hemorrhage and the person got paralyzed and died. That is extreme case of hemorrhage. Me, you, your parents, and your elderly people at home, everybody has these hemorrhage in the body, including some clotting, some hemorrhage in the brain also, small bits here and there. That's normal. There's no harm. And I'm not exaggerating in saying that there are some amount, small bit of cancer cells all over the body, some amount you, me, everybody on the earth will have. But that starts creating harm and damage when they increase in number. Hemorrhage is also the same. If hemorrhage is big and that clotting, basically you just imagine that if there is a big pipeline broken and the water keep on oozing out of it, then it is going to create mud, kichad all around. Same thing happens if brain is a very soft organ. And if near to it a hemorrhage is there and it lies there, blood clot or meal banala काफी time तक. The doctors actually tried, they open up the skull and they try to remove that hemorrhage, they try to cure the person. But in most of the cases, they cannot save the patient. Brain till the date, see we have done so many discoveries all over the world, but brain is still a mystery. The person having some problem with heart, with stomach, with kidney will survive. But if brain, because brain and spinal cord, they are like live wires. Say 440 ki wires running hoti na, you cannot touch them. It's like that. They are live wires, running live wires in brain and spinal cord. And once they are touched, I have not seen people improving completely. I know a few those who got operated either for brain surgery or spinal cord surgery, they never recovered 100%. Never. If XYZ is suffering from paralysis and the person's spinal cord is opened and they treat it, then after the treatment it may happen so that they had treated the right leg and there may be some problem in the left leg. They are live wires running. And I, as a science teacher, I can tell you the data you take up from any region. The neurosurgeons you can count on tips. Those who go for medical, they never enter in this generally because the chances of saving the patient is less. The chances of recovering the patient from these things is very less. Once the surgery is done, it becomes difficult. So therefore, this region is still needed to be like more and more inquiry, more and more research is needed, more and more people are there, more and more hands are needed here to save people. Hemorrhage, brain, deadly dangerous. More, of course, it may be fatal. But in general, all over the body, yes, it can be there in any place. Let's move ahead with arteries and veins. Bigger pipelines and smaller pipelines, these we have covered just now. Arteries, veins and capillaries. Now, artery structure, internal structure, if I am explaining you, it is something like this. Both of them are tubes. Agreed. Bigger tubes, yes, agreed. Arteries. This is the structure of the artery. And vein. This will be the structure of the vein. And this khali hissa, the empty place, where here in this case oxygenated or the pure blood, and here deoxygenated or impure blood, be it any type of blood, it is blood. The blood flows. This is actually known as lumen or the khali hissa. And this one, this is actually the muscular thicker wall. And here you can say that the muscles are less. This is less thick. Can you see to the end of the board? That is, of course, less thick. And try and understand the difference between them. The first one. We know very well that arteries carry oxygenated blood and veins will be carrying deoxygenated. This we all are aware. Let's understand the definition of artery and vein. See, in our body, there is an artery which carries impure blood. There is a vein which carries pure blood. Very good, very good. Now that means that actually now is going to ask us for the definition of an artery and a vein. Once you say artery, vena basically means the blood vessel that drives blood away from heart. Artery is of course a blood vessel.
Distributory in nature.
Yeah. It takes blood away from heart. Away from heart. Away from heart, this one, and this second one will be towards the heart. Towards the heart. Then the next one. See, next few differences now. Certain concrete skeleton words you keep in mind. There are like 7 to 8 differences, but I am supposed to keep some words in my mind so that if the question is asked in my examination, I should be in a position to write all of them point wise. So first thing came to my mind about oxygenated, deoxygenated. Then the doubt I had covered in the class, that means towards and away from the heart. And now you keep 2 correlated words in your mind, wall and walls. Wall and fourth point, walls. Wall in case of arteries. Wall is thick, and in this case it is thin. Walls, no walls, and here we have walls. Now, what these walls are? Walls basically in a pipeline. This is just like a one-way direction door. You push it, it opens and it allows the movement only in one direction. For example, the blood supply took place. It has been given to all the organs, including legs, including hands. Now, once it has gone this side, it has to come back also to the heart. In case of arteries, never use this term. See, I am saying is that in arteries, the pressure of blood is high. Never write it as blood pressure is high. The meaning is just opposite. Once you say the term blood pressure high, means it is going to cross the limit of 120 and 80. Once you say the pressure of the blood is high in arteries as compared to that of veins. With full force, with full pressure, the heart is pumped and the blood is now moving in my hand and reaching to the end. Now the work is over, and from my fingers and my hands, the blood has to now push back to the heart. Pressure is low, pressure is not much, and this is more critical situation in case of legs. It has to come to the heart against gravity. That means, in that case, they need to have these doors. Pushing the blood up, shutting the door. Then pushing up, then shutting. Therefore, valves, V-A-L-V-E-S, they are very much needed. Why? Because they do not have thick wall. If thick wall is not there, they cannot maintain the temperature, this pressure. High pressure is not maintained. Now, how to understand that? See, there are these garden pipes. Nowadays, we are using sprinkler and all, but you must have seen these big garden pipes, green colored big garden pipes, and a small diameter pipeline that we have at our home. You supply that water with the help of big green pipe, the water will fall down next to it only. The pressure is very low. Volume more, space more, pressure less. Boyle's law, just oppositely done. Small pipeline, pressure is a bit higher. For example, if I am holding a pipe in my hand and I want to supply to my plants, it is going to go this way down. And if I just put the thumb in front of it, a little bit of it, what happens? I am reducing the space. Volume less, pressure more, and the water goes to a higher distance. The same phenomena beta. Here, the pressure will be maintained, will be very high because the lumen, the khali hissa is very narrow. Here it is bigger. That means the pressure automatically will be less. If the pressure is less, then it needs to be pushed up with the help of valves. Okay? Now we can write down one more. Just now that we have discussed. Pressure of blood. This is high here and this one is low in case of veins. Sixth point about lumen. खाली हिस्सा lumen. We use one term narrow and broad. ये terms याद कर लीजिएगा. So this in case it is narrow and in this case it is broad. Always keep in mind that there are some differences which are not much of a significance. For example, you may also add the difference that arteries are beneath. They are deeply seated. You cannot see the artery from the surface of the skin, but you can very well see. You can very well see the veins. Veins are superficial, but that what I feel as a 10th standard child, if I am writing the exam, my differences should be these only, significant ones. Any doubt in this one? Any of these?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. Now I'm going to show you your textbook page after this period gets over. That page you are supposed to read, and these two things that we had discussed today, the components of blood and the difference between arteries and veins. After understanding this, in my next lecture, I am going to show you how to draw heart in a very simple way and the circulation of blood in the heart. Based on that, there are 3 types of questions repeatedly being asked in the exam. What we have covered today, based on that, the question may be asked about the components of blood and of course the differences between arteries and veins. It's like all-time favorite question being asked in number of times. There are certain notes which I'm going to post in Google Classroom. Please have a look at them, either on those and some of the videos which are going to actually indicate how this blood flows in the blood vessels. Keep watching them, keep completing your work in time and posting them, forming a PDF. And please make sure for one assignment only one PDF is uploaded. Clear, kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
bachcho.
ma'am.
Okay, bachcho. Happy learning, kids. Stay safe. Keep learning, keep studying.